Hey guys, welcome to another New World video. In today's video I want to talk about an interesting change that has been brought to my attention on the July PTR by a viewer, shout out to Sullivan. This change, or rather combination of changes combined, will change entirely how we level our expertise, where we farm gear potentially, and add items to our arsenal that previously we thought did not exist or couldn't exist. So, let's first look at the notes that we are talking about, then have a closer look at what exactly it will affect and what this will mean for us and how we play. So the notes specifically that we are talking about are these. All enemies now have a chance to drop items at plus 100 gear score higher than normal. Level 59 to 63 have an increased chance. The 600 max expertise still applies to these roles. And the second part of this is, the following list of enemies have been updated to level 63, so that they have the potential to grant 600 gear score drops for players. These include Eden Grove Banes, Kale and a Georgian, Old Mirkgard Forest, Unhallowed Soul of Mirkgard, Nello Visage, High Priest of Ziguera, Balebane Ma, Articulon the Unshackled, and Mosrol the Herald. In Caminus, Caminus Gatelord and Overseer Levy. In the Spaleo Cavern, Seawang the Immovable and Du Shen the Unstoppable. In East Allurman, Corrupted Executor Luca. In West Allurman, Pitlord Dehi. The Congregation, Mirepaw. In the Lambent Muskeg, the Blightbringer. In Maria's Rest, Soothbore Samuel. In Ska Makagoa, Thorn of the Heartwood, and Serenity Monastery Nasher. And in Skysong Crypt, Ivan the Inevitable, Mordecai the Mortician, Slayer Rosalind, and Farley. Now, most of you will see why this is such a huge change, but for those of you who may not know, I will explain why this is so exciting. Previously in New World, there have been items on the New World database that are almost godly, by far best in slot for multiple classes, that in the game's early days, before we completely understood how things work, we would spend hours upon hours hunting. But as we learned more about the game and how it worked, we realized that although in the game files they were theoretically 600 gear score, it was actually impossible for them to drop anywhere close to 600, let alone 590 now to be upgraded. However, with these changes to both potential loot ceiling from the 63 mobs and the change to many of the world name mobs levels to 63, a door is open to a massive amount of gearing possibilities. These items that previously were impossible to roll out at 590 to 600 now can, and farming these creatures now has meaning and purpose. Many of the best in slot items that we wished we could get before, we now can. It is not only going to give us tons of fun farming hours, with potential for actual sweet rewards, but it will also add a ton of variation to our potential gear options while we're working on our builds. So let's have a closer look at some of the creatures on this list and some of the items that used to be impossible, but with the July PTR now are quite possible. So first, let's have a look at the items that were previously impossible to get at Gearscore 600, but with the PTR, it is possible. First, the Ring of Beginning. This ring is awesome, and many have looked at it on the New World database wishing it could be obtained at 600 Gearscore. It allows users to have 3 dodges rather than 2. Next up is another ring, but this one is for you mages out there, the Band of Demon Dusk. This band, much like the one before, offers best in slot perks and also will give you 3 dodges over 2. This ring will definitely be on my list. Next up is this Fire Staff, which I won't even try to say its name. But with the changes in the PTR, allowing it to now drop 600, combined with the changes to the chain perks being buffed from 11 to 15%, could make this staff far superior to staffs of choice currently like Firevine. Next up, we have the Cowl of Augur. This amazing mage helmet currently cannot be obtained 590 to 600 gear score, but with the changes on the PTR, it can be, and it is simply amazing. This chest piece could very rarely be obtained, but only on regular mobs at level 63 and only at 590. And because 590 was the max gear score possible, your chances of actually getting it were next to impossible. If you search it on the New World database, it will say it drops off of Scorch Vein Supply Guard level 65, which is not exactly correct, because these mobs only exist in Mbutsi Inferior at level 63, so again 590 would be your max potential currently. Now you may say there are level 65 ones in Mbutsi Superior, but these creatures have to be killed in an Inferior in order for this chest to drop. Well, this all changes with the update, and the level 63 ones can now drop at 590 to 600, so it will be much easier to farm. Next, we have a chest that previously was next to impossible to get at Sirens for much the same reason as the rest. The mobs that drop it are level 63, so its max possible potential was 590. So you would need to not only get it to drop, but also score a perfect max roll to even have a use for it. Well, once again now it can drop 590 to 600, making it much easier to farm with much better results. So these are only a small percentage of the items you will be able to add to your list of wants that after the patch you will be able to farm. It really will change things up and allow us to create some awesome unique builds with a ton of new drop gear options. So now let's have a look at some of the creatures who will be seeing a level increase and will now offer 600 Gearscore drops. First up we have a Georgian. As you can see, this guy found in Eden Grove previously only spawned at level 60, greatly limiting his potential for gear drops. But now on the PTR he spawns level 63 as you can see, and allows for this earring to be dropped at 600 Gearscore. Next up, the Unhallowed Soul of Murkguard. This guy once again offers an amazing loot table, which because of his level cannot drop at 600, not even 590. However, with the change on the PTR it now spawns at 63, and all of these items can now drop at a potential 600 Gearscore. Another mob that is getting changed with a very thick loot table is High Priest Oseguera. This mob currently only spawns at level 60, so the loot will never drop at the potential that the New World database teases us with. However, as you can see on the PTR, it now spawns at level 63 also, and this opens everything up to drop at Gearscore 600 potentially. The next two, they are big ones. Si Wang the Immovable and Du Shen the Unstoppable have long been farmed, but the amazing things they drop were never able to reach 590 plus, so the gear they offered, although amazing, would never be able to be endgame quality. But this will now change. They will now spawn 63 and anything they drop now has the potential to drop 590 to 600 Gearscore. This is a huge one considering that some of the best farming gear in the game now could come from farming these two guys. And finally, Ivan the Inevitable. We have all farmed this guy for a daily obsidian gypsum, and we see the luck ice gauntlet and other items that he drops low level that will never be good enough to use. Well, this will be changing. He is having his level increased to 63, and with the change, he will now have the potential to drop these items Gearscore 600, making farming him a lot more exciting moving forward, along with all of the other named in his location. So guys, as you can see, this is a huge change. This gives us a reason to farm the open world, something New World was lacking for a very long time. No, these items won't drop on one kill. Getting them 590 plus will still require effort, but knowing it's possible changes things in a big way. This was, of course, not a complete list. Many creatures have seen their levels increased, allowing them to drop 590 plus gear now, which I listed early in the video. Maybe your favorite will be on that list. For me, this is probably one of the low-key changes that overall make the biggest impact on how much I will be enjoying the game moving forward. It is almost enough for many people I talk to return. They were bored, sick of expeditions, wanting something to farm that had potential. Some will say farming these mobs hundreds of times is not a good change, nor is it a good gameplay design. I disagree. I agree it is a waste of time. Everything we do in a game really is a waste of time. But with these loot changes, it changes one important thing for me. After I'm done, do I feel like I wasted my time? The whole point for an MMO to me is that it makes me want to waste my time, not forces me to waste my time, making me miserable. And farming some of these bosses, I very much want to do, and I can't wait to be honest. Okay guys, I want to thank my viewer once again, Sulzon, or however you pronounce it, I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong, for bringing these changes to my attention and how important they really were. And as always guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.